The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
What time is it? Clobbering time!
I am the face that runs the place.
You need Roman to be out of the main title picture for a little while. You give him a break. This is the only way you're possibly going to get the crowd to do anything but boo him. Just give him a break.
I'm the greatest wrestler in the world.
It was exciting to see because it kind of reminded me of Reading Rainbow a little bit.
All he needed was LeVar Burton to come in there.
This would have definitely got a 5-star pay-per-view for me.
Show of the year.
Yeah, show of the year.
How you doing?
Matt, is focused. Is any of this making sense to you?
I have no knowledge of any of this.
Come on, Matt. Ethan Carter III. Again, you beat him for the TNA World Heavyweight title.
So you're telling me that it's documented that I beat EC3 not once, but twice for the world title?
Yes, you're getting it, Matt. Is this helping?
Well, I mean, I've seen him on TV, on Impact Wrestling. He's pretty darn good.
It is.
So what you're telling me is basically I treated EC3 like my bitch. Yes, I mean, I don't remember any of it, but I think that's really cool.
Ladies and gentlemen, wrestling to the mat.
And your hosts, Gary Vaughn, Sean Garmer, and Paul Leeser.
Welcome, everybody, to Wrestling to the Max, episode 223, part 1. And here we are, guys. Hope everyone had a great holiday weekend last week. Thanksgiving was a lot of fun, I'm sure, for a lot of people. A lot of interesting things took place. But there's one thing that didn't take place, and that's, of course, us having our part 2 show that last week. So if you're hearing us now and you're wondering if you missed it, you did not. We apologize. We kind of maybe overstretched ourselves. We thought we'd be able to do it. But, maybe we should have rethought that. It's okay. We are going to address that in a few minutes here. But besides that, I want to let you guys know I am your host, Gary Vaughn. And with me is Mr. Sean Garmer.
Yeah. Hi.
Mr. Paul Leeser.
Yeah, two of us work retail and it's Black Friday. Go figure.
Yeah, I fell asleep. I fell asleep again. Woo!
Yeah. Here's the thing, and I wanted to really quickly get to this so people kind of understand what happened. We had planned on doing the show our normal day Thursday, and then we said, no, it's Thanksgiving. So we said, okay, we're going to tell the folks, we're doing it Friday. Do it a day, Black Friday. It's a better time for all of us. It just did not work out. Not only were these two guys busy, tired out of their minds after working in busy shifts, I was not feeling great. I was sick. I technically was sick Thanksgiving morning. I woke up with a stomach ache. That was not fun. So it did not work out. So what we're going to do is if you guys are missing that show and you're like, man, we missed to hear about NXT, Lucha Underground, what we're going to do for you guys is tonight we are actually going to do one of the things we do on the Thursday show. And this is just a lot normal. We're going to do it tonight, just kind of get it done for you guys that want to know. We are going to do Superstar of the Week for last week. So we're going to give you that tonight. And, of course, next Thursday, we're going to get into some of the highlights from last week's Lucha Underground, NXT, and TNA Impact Wrestling. So you'll get a little bit of a tidbits of what we really enjoyed from those shows last week. You're not going to miss too much. Plus, guys, let's be honest, there was no really wrestling news from Thanksgiving week. So you missed nothing when it came to Quick Hit. So it all worked out for all of us. All of us kind of got a little extra rest, and I'm thankful that we did get a kind of chance to take a breather. So, but we're here tonight, guys, and what we are going to do. Go ahead.
And Black Friday was my birthday too, so it was
yes. I apologize. Yes, you're right, and it was, and I had planned to say happy birthday and get all excited, but man, now I'm going to say it now, Sean. Happy birthday, and I hope it was at least, I know it was busy, but I hope at least it was a good one.
Well, I worked during the day, and then I got to go eat. I mean, they like cut the cake on Thanksgiving for me with the family, which is like the first time I've been able to actually do a family thing on Thanksgiving for a long time, because usually I either worked that morning and I was so tired that I didn't want to do anything, or I worked that night and I was like, well, I'm not going all the way over there to have to, which is like 30 minutes out of the way, to have to go all the way back to work later. So I would just basically do by myself on Thanksgiving until either I slept or I had to go to work. So this was like the one time that I worked overnight on Wednesday, and I had all of Thursday off, and I got to do something. And then Friday night, I went with Anaya and family to Panda Express, one of my favorite places to eat, and basically just ate Panda Express. And then that was see, when you get older, you don't get the whole, big old, hey, let's have a party and all this stuff. Whatever. You just have this modest thing, and that's it.
Yeah.
You just appreciate it.
It's the way it works, I don't even know what I did for my birthday. I don't even know if we did anything. I have no idea.
See, now I'm 30 and old.
Oh, man, Sean. Welcome to the club. Man, we're so jealous of Paul right now. It sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I turned 29 at the end of this year. I'm not far behind you guys.
Yeah, that's true. But at least you can at least say you're in your 20s still. But that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. But at least we're here together tonight, and I do want to let the people know what we're going to have on the show tonight. We're going to do our normal. We're going to talk some quick hits. We've got a few interesting things. We're going to talk, of course, about some Cody Rhodes. He has an end game for his wrestling career. We'll be talking about that, plus some interesting information about Mr. Tyson Kidd. So we have a lot of other great things, but we're going to jump into that's a couple of things. Plus, we are also talking Ring of Honor, and Ring of Honor also has a big pay-per-view coming up, Final Battle. So me and Paul will be sitting down here and giving you a preview of it and kind of giving you our ideas and thoughts and maybe some of our opinions on what's going to be happening on Final Battle. Plus, like I told you before, we will be doing Superstar of the Week from the previous week since we didn't have a show on Thursday. But saying all that, guys, we are going to jump into some quick hits, but really quickly, I do want to state that, it has been a crazy time. It's going to be getting even crazier with the holiday schedule. So we are going to keep you posted on what's going on with our show. But, if you want to find out more information about us, you need to go to W2Mnet.com. That, of course, not only gets you podcasts, but that also gets you all the written material when it comes to the world of wrestling. And also, don't forget, that website has a video game section that is blowing up right now. Lots of great reviews. I know it's a holiday season. You want to know what games to buy or maybe to buy for someone else. That's the perfect place to find out if the game's good, if it's worth a purchase. So go do that. That's the best place to go find your research when it comes to video games. And if you love football like I do, especially after my Cowboys won Thursday, you want to go check out the fantasy rankings. You want to go check out also some of the other football content we have, the college stuff. It's just a lot of fun. That website's great. You want to go check it out. And, of course, the W2M network is still a thing. I know sometimes I don't pimp it as much as we used to, but it's still here, and it's the place you need to go subscribe if you want all our content if you haven't already. Besides that, guys, I think that kind of wraps up all the works and all that. But now let's go ahead and do some talking about some wrestling news. We're going to jump into some quick hits right after this, guys.
Oh, give me a second here. Okay.
It's time for wrestling news. Quick hits.
All right, guys. Well, there's a few things that we're going to talk about, and one of those things is Tyson Kidd. And the reason I want to talk about Tyson Kidd pretty quickly here is because he will not be on the upcoming season of Total Divas. And is that really a big deal to me? Not really, because I don't watch the show. But you know what? There are a lot of people that do. And the reason Tyson Kidd is not going to be a part of the show is because of the fact that this is kind of leading up to the point where he's, a lot of the neck injury stuff and getting really in depth with that. So they've kind of cut him out because I think personally, and a lot of people do, that WWE is not going to address the seriousness of his neck injury. But also because, of the fact that they want to have a good light. They also want to showcase more of the new people joining the cast. So there's a lot of things involved with this. And Sean, I know you follow Total Divas. What do you think about this? And what do you think the real reason is that Tyson Kidd's not going to be a part of this?
I do think it has to do with his injury because you don't know what he's going to say about said injury. And they don't want to put WWE out there in a bad light. And, not a lot of people know about Samoa Joe. As far as if you're not in the hardcore wrestling bubble, I think there's still a lot of casual fans that don't know who he is. And if that's your first exposure to him, if he ever does come up to the main roster, and there's plenty of people that watch Total Divas that might have a casual eye on WWE or whatever, they might, automatically put him down as, oh, that's the guy that injured Tyson Kidd. That's the guy that injured Natty's husband or whatever. I think also, I don't know, I think WWE is possibly also right in that the season is not about Natty. The season is not about, it's focusing on the fact that you've added Maurice, Renee Young, and, dang it, why can't I remember the other person right now, but you've added another diva as well, and you're focusing on them and having The Miz and Dean Ambrose all being in there, and again, the person that is escaping me at the moment that they also added, Lana and Rusev being in there, so, they don't want Tyson, because think about it, if Tyson Kidd talks about his injury, then all of a sudden the show becomes about, well, what's the next thing on Tyson Kidd's injury? Why are they not showing what happens to him? Why are they not showing him recuperating? Why are they not showing him rehabbing? All that stuff like they would Daniel Bryan, that they would Cena, like they would Nikki. Like, people are going to want to see that. So I think taking him out of the season makes it to where your focus is squarely on the new divas and everything else that they want going on with that.
I mean, Sean just said it. It's not Total Tyson Kidd. It's Total Divas. The focus should be on the ladies. It should be about how the men in their lives interact with their daily life. And you can make the point that Tyson's a big part of Natty's life, and that's true, but it's about the ladies. It's not about what Tyson's going through. So there's that.
Yeah, we'll have to, keep up to date with him off, TV, I guess, because, I think a lot of people enjoyed seeing Tyson Kidd on there when they didn't see him on,
he was funny. Let's be honest. He was a funny part of when Natty would be doing something crazy. He'd be the one that's like the voice of reason that says, "Yeah, why are you going crazy about the fact that the cat hasn't done something today?" Just like what any man would be thinking of right then. He says it. So it was funny. It was great to have him, but I can kind of see their logic, but I can also see when Tyson Kidd goes on Twitter and says it's because of my injury, it may not be far off on that either.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And, I'm just kind of curious to see, if taking him off of Total Divas is going to affect him even more when it comes to people remembering him. Because he's been off, WWE television for so long. At least, Raw and SmackDown shows like that. Not off Total Divas, but now taking him off Total Divas really puts him away in the back pocket. And you just, never get to see his face. Also could cause a lot of people to kind of forget about him. And that's kind of sad. Especially if he's able to make a comeback of some sort, So, let's talk about a guy that actually has a date in which he will be ending his career, and that is Cody Rhodes. He has said that he wants to end his wrestling career at 40 years old. What do you think about this, Paul? I mean, some people would say that's kind of young because there are still guys out there wrestling at 40 plus.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks But I mean, he has an idea. He wants to do it with wrestling so long, and maybe he wants to go acting. Maybe he wants to pursue something else. So, I mean, there's a cutoff time for everybody, and if he thinks it's 40, then we'll see if he sticks to it. I don't think he's even close to 40 yet. I don't even think he's about the same age we are. So, lots of time for him to change his mind.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. I agree. And, it's one of those where I think when he actually gets close to that age, he may actually rethink that. But that's what he's saying now. And his love of wrestling, if it doesn't change, it's going to be hard for him to actually do just that and that step away. But you never know. I mean, some people are dead set on their goals, and that may be his goal, and he may actually stick to it. Sean, I mean, do you think that? I mean, his dad was so legendary, and his brother's been in the business way. I don't know how old is Goldust. Dustin Rhodes is he 48 or something?
He's 40 somethings, yeah.
I thought he'd be like 48. I was surprised if he wouldn't be close to 50. So,
You're close, Gary. He's 47.
Okay, 47. So, I mean, Sean, do you think Cody Rhodes will stick to this?
He seems very set on he wants to. So let's see. AJ did say that. I think he said when his contract with WWE is up that he might retire too. So let's see if that happens. I think AJ will be 42 at that point. This is just. I mean, it's cool for him that he wants to make sure he has the rest of his life to do stuff with Brandy, and he wants to have kids or whatever. That's 40 is not the 40 is when. A lot of, even at 35, even earlier, other sports players are ending their careers, so why not?
Yeah, very true. And, there may be other opportunities. He may be talking about actually being in the ring, too. He may not be talking about maybe being a commentator or, even doing some other things when it comes to the world wrestling. You never know. He may want to be a trainer or some other form of, part of a wrestling business, So, let's talk about something that he may actually be a part of one day, and that is the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. And they've actually announced a lot of the people that will be going into that Hall of Fame. A few of the names that we do know, there's a lot on this list that personally I don't know a lot about. You guys may actually have some better insight. We actually have Larry the Axe Hennig and Harley Race going in as a tag team. We got Mick Foley hopping in here. Along with Fonjanubi, or I can't say his name, I'm so sorry. I'll let Paul say it. But, that's some interesting people. But, the rest of these people on the list, I just don't know them.
Tatsumi Fujinami is the name Gary was trying to pronounce there, who's an absolute legend. Larry the Axe Hennig, Harley Race, great tag team. Obviously, Mick Foley, Shawn Michaels speak for themselves. I'm right there with you, Gary. Usually I at least know one or two of the older guys. I know absolutely zero outside of the guys I'm supposed to know.
I'm the same
amazing.
Way. So, this is. I can't even begin to sit there. This is even pre whatever this 1943 and 1984. They Luther Lindsay and Sputnik Monroe. I apologize if you know who they are and we don't. And Yvonne Robert and Dirty Dick Reigns. I mean, cool for them too. I guess.
Gotta love that name, Dirty Dick Reigns. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's great name for multiple businesses.
Yep.
And that's also a current guy on the roster too, Dirty Dick Reigns. Anyway.
Whoa. How do you know, Gary? That's rated
it's
X.
Yeah.
Gary is checking in on whatever Roman Reigns is doing.
Oh, I'm
That's for that Gary After Dark show.
Yeah. Oh, I gotta get that show going. Sponsored by Skinamax. Let's go ahead and move on to something else that's really exciting, even if it's not Skinamax. It's NXT TakeOver San Antonio, and it is heading mine and Paul's way. It is official. It will be here January 28th, and that is, of course, the night before Royal Rumble. So, I mean, this is exciting, and I think it's something that we can look forward to, and hopefully it's as good as NXT TakeOver Toronto. I don't know. But, I mean, Sean, do you think there'll be some good things coming out of this one?
Well, we'll see. You know, with the Royal Rumble being one of those shows where sometimes you have NXT guys appear at the Rumble or in the Rumble or whatever, would not be a bad time for one of those big main event guys to finally make the switch. Whether it's a Samoa Joe or a Shinsuke Nakamura, you're trying to sell out that Alamo Dome. Wouldn't, you know, if maybe this is where you bring back the whole tournament to see if one of them shows up in the Rumble or something like that. I think, you know, Shinsuke could bring some people over to San Antonio to watch him appear. I don't know. That's just me.
They've done battle royals and stuff like that before on NXT to see if a guy can win a spot in a Rumble before. I don't see why they couldn't do that again. That'd be fine. But that whole weekend is shaping up to be huge. Evolve is going to be in town for San Antonio that weekend too, running shows on the 27th and 28th. So, I mean, if you guys are in the area or thinking about making the drive, I mean, San Antonio's a long way away for us, but certainly might be worth your time hanging out there for 4 or 5 days.
Do you think NXT could have their own Rumble?
If they confirm an NXT before WrestleMania again, I wouldn't be surprised if they do, because I think that's a great way to tie it into all the stuff you're doing on the main roster too. Is you have that same build up from NXT pre-Royal Rumble to NXT pre-WrestleMania, and have the whole road go that way. I think that'd be cool, and a great way to prepare your main roster or your development guys for the main roster if they were happen to get there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very true. I actually would like to see that. I wouldn't have a problem with it. And, of course, I'd be rooting for the perfect 10, Ty Dillinger, the whole time. So.
Yeah.
Man, but, we'll have to
Cody
see.
Rhodes wonders why Ty Dillinger is not on the main roster yet.
Yeah, it is kind of funny. He was, I heard him on the Colt Cabana's podcast talking about that a little bit. And, it's kind of interesting to see how many people really do believe in this guy, even though WB, I guess, doesn't see anything out of this guy. Maybe it's the whole Canadian thing. Maybe they're still kind of.
Well, because he said, Dusty would sit there and write, why is he still here? He's ready.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and this was when Dusty was still alive, so imagine now when he actually has the gimmick that, he could do something with, and he's still there.
I don't know. I can't answer that, and Paul may be able to, but I'll say this: maybe Vince doesn't think he's pretty enough. Maybe he's looking for that blue dot to put on his face.
No,
maybe. I mean, Ty is interesting because he's in NXT in a time where NXT has grown from being a truly development brand to being a third brand that happens to be a development brand and has all these big name superstars that you're signing from the indies and around the world, and the competition to make it to the main roster or even just to the top of NXT or get time on NXT has become incredibly tough to do with all these names on there. And Ty's only found the 10 gimmick in the last year, and this is the first time I think he's really found something that he could work with on the main roster, even if it's only in the mid-card role. And, I mean, the guy is absolutely world title caliber, I think, too, because he's a great promo. But there's only so many spots, too, on the main roster. And you don't want him getting lost in the shuffle at all. And they're SmackDown and Raw are already having enough time booking what they have, let alone trying to fit in guys like Ty Dillinger or other mid-carders that they brought, Tyler Breeze, guys who were bona fide stars in NXT who have had trouble making that transition.
Yeah, very true. That's a good point. So, I mean, I hope the best for Ty Dillinger. I think a lot of us do. Let's go ahead and jump into some rapid hits, guys. There's a few here that I think are kind of interesting, so we'll kind of quickly run through the rest of these. The Rock's new movie, Moana, is actually doing very well. $97 million over the weekend and number one at the box office.
Moana's Pixar, right?
It's Disney, their Disney studio thing.
Oh, Disney animated flicks. Either way, shocker. You know, I mean, those movies always do incredibly well at the box office. So
not giving The Rock any love.
Unless your name is Good Dinosaur, then you're not. But that notwithstanding, I mean, this movie looks all kinds of good. I want to see it. I mean, The Rock is basically like The Rock, except he's not. He's got hair on his head. Because they have him with the tattoos and everything in the actual character, which is kind of cool. It's interesting that this has got the second highest grossing Thanksgiving weekend after Frozen. So that's some great company to be in. And let's hope that it continues for him, because The Rock was, he was, people's sexiest man, and he was the highest grossing actor last year, so of course this will help him with that this year.
Very true. Let's also talk about the fact that Kenny Dykstra is not making millions of dollars like The Rock, and in fact, he had a day job, which he was fired from, because he couldn't meet all the hours that was expected of him because of his wrestling career.
I mean, I hope he's gotten signed full time because sounds like he needs money.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much he's getting paid from WWE to do these dates or whatever. I imagine it's not pennies. So he's probably be okay. But, this non-profit should have been more understanding. I mean, the dude is working on TV. He's got to be gone for these events, But like any job, when you miss an excessive amount of dates, they usually don't want you around. So
I wonder what their policy is on the no-call, no-show thing. Like how many you get.
I'm sure he's not no-call, no-showing. Like, hey,
what if
you see me on TV, right? Like, you see me, I'm doing this?
What if that's all his phone call is? Just watch me on TV tonight, guys.
Yeah.
Click.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
It's like, watch SmackDown.
I have the flu. By the way, SmackDown Live is not really live, just to let you know that if you're healthy and working, yeah. But I mean, hopefully Kenny Dykstra, is making decent money with wrestling and actually gets to do what he wants to do. So let's do one last thing here before we quit rapid hits and quick hits and all. Let's talk about Vince Russo, and I know it's kind of funny we don't talk about him a whole lot, but Sean, we recently heard that him and the wrestling media don't get along, and we've kind of known that to an extent, but it's just kind of funny. It's kind of an interesting story here.
Well, he just talks about that, they blast him because, we're all jealous, us wrestling journalists over here, of the fact that Vince Russo's done stuff and we haven't in wrestling. And that, people are just using Vince Russo so that, they can gain readers for their depleting readership or whatever. So, well, if your readership is that depleting that you got to talk about Vince Russo, it's pretty bad, guys. Pretty bad. Let's just say that. I mean, look, Vince Russo did some good things. Then he went on to do some really bad things, and people just still want to just... So it's just amazing the amount of people that want to hail him as this god of wrestling writing. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. The guy, he did, like you said, he did some good things. He did some absolutely awful things. And, you don't always get praise for the good things, but everybody always remembers the terrible things you do. Always.
Yep, Gary, David Arquette. USA Today, baby. USA
David Arquette.
Yeah.
Woo!
Gotta love it, right? Champion David Arquette for you, sir. No, I'm joking. No, yeah, this is ridiculous. But, that's the way it works. You're exactly right, Paul. No one remembers you for the positive things. And, this is a guy that honestly doesn't have any qualms about stating his opinion. So whatever negativity comes, man, I mean, that's on him.
At least he admits now that he hates wrestling. So.
Well, there you go. Yeah, I'd hate it too if it, was something that I was good at one time, and that time wasn't very long, and then I failed. So. Anyway. Well, that's quick hits for us, guys. We've had a lot of good ones and some very interesting stuff to talk about. And really quickly before we jump on, and we are going to be talking Ring of Honor next. But before we do talk Ring of Honor, we do want to say this, and I should have mentioned it when we talked about W2Mnet.com and, of course, W2M Network. But we do a Raw review and a SmackDown Live review. And I'll just say this, we have great conversations on Part 1 and Part 2 of our regular episodes of Wrestling to the Max. But trust me, you're missing out if you don't listen to Raw or SmackDown Live. Those both are great shows. And we got into some really cool conversations when it came to Monday Night Raw. And I'd hate for people to miss it and not get a chance to hear some of the things we talk about. So I just want to maybe nudge you guys over that way, because trust me, there's some great conversations that we don't have on this show and some conversations you want to hear. So there you go. All right, well, let's talk some Ring of Honor. We're going to Baltimore to do it. We'll be right back after this. All right.
Alrighty. So, seeing as we talked about Ring of Honor last week, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Well, take that. I was about to say, let's briefly go over that, but we talked about it, so no need to do that. This week on Ring of Honor, it's the go-home show for Final Battle this weekend, which we're going to do a preview right after this. So they do 2 matches on the show and dedicate the better part of the hour towards building that, which, they should. So they open with Lio Rush taking on Jonathan Gresham. I really like this match a lot. They have great back and forth. There's a lot of chemistry. Leo gets to do all the speedy stuff. Gresham works a nice technical mixed bag of speed and attacking Lio Rush's injured left arm, which is all taped up. Leo simply overcomes, though, a bunch of his flipping C4 moves he calls the Rush Hour, and a huge top rope elbow to finally put Gresham away. What did you think about it, Gary?
I think it was a fun match. I really enjoyed it. Maybe I didn't enjoy as much as you did. I mean, I'll say this. The only thing that kind of took me out of this match was I think that they had to kind of find their groove, because I kind of noticed at times it seemed to me Gresham was a little slow. Or maybe I'm just so used to seeing speedy Lio Rush that I just kind of felt like maybe it was kind of weird to see him kind of go in slow motion compared to being super fast, because I'm so used to Lio Rush going here, there, everywhere. It's like Bruce Lee. But it wasn't that case. And it was still a good match. Trust me, it was really fun to watch. That was the only thing that kind of took me away from it, though. I just noticed that sometimes I've been thinking, man, Gresham, your technical wrestler ways are kind of getting in the way, because, man, it's almost like you're kind of mailing some of these moves. So, I don't know. That's just me being a little hard on the match. Maybe I shouldn't be that hard. But still, it was very good, and I love both those guys. Gresham has grown on me. I really wasn't sure if I wanted to like Gresham. Lio Rush, I loved from the very first day I saw him. This guy was number one in my book when it came to just attitude, skill, ability. So, I mean, this is kind of cool to see this great match.
Yeah, I've been a big proponent of Gresham since we started covering Ring of Honor and him showing up on TV, and that he really should be signed with them full time. And when you look at all the contracts coming up, maybe they should look into doing that sooner rather than later, because certainly I think he adds a lot. He has a lot of he's obviously a very technical ground worker. He can work high flying. He's sort of an all-arounder that you can really rely upon to help build up guys, or as he has been doing already, or even somebody you could probably push pretty well. I don't remember, we haven't seen him cut a promo all that recently, and I don't watch enough Combat Zone Wrestling to really get to see how his run as the world champion's going, but certainly somebody they should look into signing. That's all I'm going to say.
Didn't Jonathan Gresham work for WWE at one time as a commentator or something like that? I can't remember.
No, he did not. I think you're thinking of the other Gresham that we don't want to talk about because he was bad.
You thinking about Todd Gresham?
Yes, I am. I'm just
all kinds of bad.
We won't get into that. I just had to say, because at first when I first heard Jonathan Gresham, I'm like, Gresham, that sounds so familiar. And then anyway, I never brought it up. I did now. So you can move on to the talking part of this.
Yeah, so
he must really not like WWE anymore. That like he won't even show up on those segments with Coach or anything. Like that's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Well, when you're bad at it, why revisit that?
True.
Post-match, the Machine, Alex Shelley was doing commentary there in that match. Him and Sabin get in the ring and sort of say that Gresham and Rush are the future of Ring of Honor, and they shake their hands and raise their arms, and it sort of plays into this mentor thing that they have going, as well as them trying to build up some guys to seemingly watch their backs as they go around Ring of Honor, because they make the mention on commentary that numbers matter when you look at the Bullet Club or guys like the Cabinet. Numbers help, and having guys watching your back helps. And I think they really want to take... they're going to use the guns here to help launch a lot of these guys forward, I think.
Yeah, which is fine. I mean, it gives those guys some added, relevance in this. And not only that, like you said, it's a good springboard for some of these guys who may not have really good name value, may not be the top guys, but they still will, get that rub and make it to their best ability to get over.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll go ahead and talk about this now. Both Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly get promo time, and a lot of it. They each get about 4 or 5 minutes to say their piece. Both of them go over their history together in Future Shock, the feud as far as it's gone down this year, and how it's all led up to Final Battle. Anything you want to talk about in these promos, Gary?
I think they both did a good job. I really do. I feel like they were well done. The only thing I will say is, because I do know the history, because I've watched a lot of this content, it, kind of drug on a little bit because it was 5 minutes. And so I felt like, man, I got to find something to do while I listen to this, because I've kind of seen all this. I kind of know about all this. So it did kind of drag on for me a little bit, but it's well-deserved, well-needed, because of the fact that, you can't take for granted new viewers who need to know this history. So
absolutely. My thing with this, I didn't mind the length. Kyle, the way Kyle O'Reilly cuts promos works for him, but I wouldn't call him a particularly good promo, so his was a little bit difficult to sit through at times. Adam Cole, on the other hand, is a promo god. He is so good at this, and I hung on his every word throughout his segment, and I thought it was a great way to end the show, because they show his last before they go off the air. It sends you going into Final Battle off on a strong promo performance on the guy who's obviously your champion right now, who is your promotion, your spokesperson, and honestly, I would track down. I mean, Kyle was fine; it works for him, but Adam Cole's, I don't know if it was as good as Daniel's final pitch for the Ladder War match that we saw at the last pay-per-view, but certainly a very, very good promo that I would go look for if you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, it was almost like WWE was doing these, and why I say that was because you got a lot of Adam Cole, and you got a lot to see his face. Kyle O'Reilly, a majority of his talking parts where you actually saw him were on a side profile from majority and a few front views, so it was almost like said, one's pretty, one's not. Let's have the guy at the side profile for the one less pretty.
Well, I mean, they're not wrong.
I'm just saying, very WWE. I would have thought they just did the same film, filmed this the exact same way, and they didn't. So,
yeah, I mean that's fair too. In the main event, the Briscoes and the Addiction have their big tag team match. This was actually super good too. I mean, the Kazarian hitting the flux capacitor out of the Doomsday device was awesome. The finishing sequence, which leads up to the Briscoes winning after Jay plants Daniels with the Jay Driller, and then Mark hits the Froggy Bow to send the Briscoes going forward with some momentum into their tag team title match with the Young Bucks this Friday. I like I said, I love this match. What do you think, Gary?
It's hard not to like this match with two great tag teams like these two. I mean, it's almost like you see these two guys, this match on the card, and you're like, okay, I'll just ride beside it, A+. I mean, that's the way you feel about it, and they never disappoint. So it would be kind of silly for me to sit here and just go on and on about it. It was great. If you haven't seen it, definitely go watch it. It's fun to see these guys because they are so smooth. And, it worked out in an interesting way. I mean, the ending of this whole thing, it makes me wonder where they're going with the Addiction.
Yeah, I mean, it really feels like Daniels is sort of on this retirement run, and Kazarian is trying to do everything in his power to make sure that, people, their legacy as the Addiction is one that everybody remembers, because obviously they're working towards being, they want to be the best tag team in Ring of Honor ever of all time. And, I mean, they're a great team, and I'm sure they're going to keep this feud with the Briscoes going forward, because the Briscoes are sort of the benchmark in Ring of Honor as far as tag teams go. But like I said, yeah, it feels like Daniels is on a retirement run, and every match, I mean, he's been so good since Ladder War on television and in the live performance that I got to see him in over Survival of the Fittest and on the VODs and everything, and just he's so good, Gary. I would really hate to see him go.
I know. I mean, this guy has been so, just innovative. He's been a guy that has been just a staple when it comes to just the world of wrestling in general. I mean, sadly, not in the big WWE company, but amongst even TNA, other indie promotions, and of course Ring of Honor. He's been such a special part, and I hope when his actual final day is, and this all kind of runs out for him, that he is remembered as one of the best, and he definitely deserves all the praise for everything he's given this business. So I hope everything works out. And the way I want him to go out is, he is the fallen angel, right? So, I think the only way to send him off is for him to ascend into heaven.
Oh, boy. We don't need another death in the wrestling ring, Gary.
No. I'm not talking about killing a guy. Jeez. I was just talking about, some strings and some beautiful white lights and him going up and then they're stopping. Rafters, Sting grabs him by the arm and says, "Come on, son, let's move this way."
What a way to go. Oh, well, that's Ring of Honor television this week. But like I said, they have this big pay-per-view. It's their WrestleMania. It's Final Battle 2016 this Friday. Once again, I have to work, so I won't be able to watch it live. And with me going out of town this weekend, writing a review for the website may or may not be touchy. But, at least I get to preview it here with you, Gary. So let's just dive right on into this thing.
Do it.
Colt Cabana versus Dalton Castle. Obviously, their tag team fell apart whenever Colt Cabana wanted to walk away on last week's Ring of Honor. And he's secretly from Dalton. Dalton obviously doesn't know that he's beating up the normal pair of boys that have been running with him. And, of course, went so far as to stab him in the eye with one of the fans last week, too. So this is a real grudge match.
It really is. And, I'm not sure what direction that they're going to go, because how long do they want this feud to last? My gut feeling is that Colt Cabana could go over here only because, Cabana really wants to reach for that Ring of Honor championship. And I don't think he gets to that point if he can't get past guys like Dalton Castle, plus the eye injury, all that encompasses it. Sure, I think fans of Dalton Castle like myself want to see him win. It just would not shock me if Cabana was to win, just to kind of put him in that echelon of, man, this is one bad mofo.
I think this feud has legs, and I think it has legs to go for a long time. And you could really work this to Dalton's advantage to, slingshot him right into the main event scene. And whether Colt Cabana ever wins the Ring of Honor title or not, which I hope he does at some point, because he absolutely deserves to wear that belt and be champion, I think he wins here. I don't think it's exactly going to be a clean match, obviously. So, Colt's going to win with some underhanded tactics and stay that one step ahead of Dalton, and then they'll take this on to the anniversary show next year, hopefully, where we can see Dalton get that big win back. But right now, I think you got to have Colt win this one and just keep on rolling along with that feud.
Yeah, and you're going to see more heelish moves. You're going to see more cheating, more taking advantage of the fact that maybe that eye is patched up or something like that, for Dalton Castle. So I'm really curious about this one. But I agree with you, though. Cabana is probably going to win.
Yeah, next up you have sort of a little special offer match of Silas Young, the last real man in pro wrestling, takes on Jushin Thunder Liger, the frickin' legend in the flesh here in the Hammerstein Ballroom. I think this one could go either way too, just because of the way ROH books Silas sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. And, it just depends on how they feel. What side of the bed do they wake up on when it comes to Silas Young? And I love him. I really, think a lot of Silas Young. I mean, maybe not the, best wrestler in the company, maybe not the most charismatic, but just Silas Young. He does a great job. He's a hard-nosed performer, and he some way he kind of draws me in. At the end of the day, though, I'm going to go ahead and say Jushin Thunder Liger wins this because I just kind of feel like this is kind of a no, I'm not saying a one-off or anything, but I just think it's a special appearance for him, and I think him losing would be a little bit silly. But you never know; they could have it either way.
Yeah, I don't know if you want Liger to lose here either. Because Liger is going to be in that the tournament, the decade tournament for Ring of Honor, where they're having the guys that have been there for 10 years over, and of course Jushin Liger showed up in their first year, so he qualifies for that tournament, and I think him winning here might help him, build a little bit of momentum going that way. At the same time, though, there's a lot of guys hovering around this Ring of Honor title match that I'd love to see Silas get into a feud with for that championship, and I, much like Gary, I think the world of Silas. I think he's a wonderful wrestler. I think he's a terrific promo. And he's one of the guys who has such a well-defined gimmick in Ring of Honor and can certainly be counted upon to put on in these kind of performances. But, Gary, I think I'm going to agree with you once again and say Liger wins as much as I hope for Silas to win when I can wake up that Friday morning.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Another big special offer match here as Cody Rhodes, who was advertised this week as Cody, by the way, on just Cody on Ring of Honor television. I forgot to mention that. Takes on Jay Lethal, the arguably the top guy in the company.
Yeah, this has been a really interesting one, and this may be one of the hardest ones for me, only because of the fact that Cody Rhodes is not per se a guy that's, I think, going to hang around Ring of Honor for a long period of time. I think he's an in-and-out kind of wrestler. Not a, I guess we talk about him in WWE, but part-time wrestler, at least for this company, even though he's a full-time wrestler all over the indie circuit. Jay Lethal's been a guy that's been, just a champion. He's one of the most successful wrestlers in Ring of Honor history in general. So how does it go? I don't know. I almost want to say Cody because of the fact he's had so many past successes. I don't know. I have a hard time believing that Jay Lethal is going to lose here. If he does lose, I kind of see him going on the path of returning to heel Jay Lethal.
This is a really tough one for me to call to. Jay Lethal's contract is up at the end of the year. Nobody knows if he's going to resign, or at least we haven't heard anything. Cody, of course, is working the entire world right now. TNA. All the big promotions pretty much in England. He's worked all over the U.S. I'm sure he's working elsewhere that we just don't know about. And the guy has a big name, and honestly, ending up in Ring of Honor for a spell may not be bad for him. I'm going to say I'm going to go different. I'm going to say Cody wins. I don't know what they're going to do with Jay. I don't know what they're going to do with Cody. But in these big kinds of matchups, Ring of Honor sort of tends to stay with the big name coming in to let him get a win. So I'm going to go with Cody here.
Yeah, and I definitely understand your point. That's what's so hard about this because, Cody coming in, then losing doesn't make a lot of sense. But my only thought process is, do you really sacrifice one of your biggest stars? Which, it's not normal. But, Jay Lethal, you kind of have another notch knocked against him, which I kind of see as Jay Lethal doesn't take losing very well. So I feel like that leads us to maybe a different path of going back to the old Jay Lethal. But I don't know. Just a thought process. I will kind of disagree on this one. I'll say Lethal. You say Cody.
No, I think you could absolutely be right too. Just because, like we said so many times, this one's really hard to try to call.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, the Motor City Machine Guns, Chris Sabin, Alex Shelley team up with Donovan Dijak to face off against the Cabinet in 6-man tag team action. This sort of built up over Survival of the Fittest weekend with the Cabinet sort of dropping their political gimmick and picking up a sort of almost guerrilla warfare combatant sort of thing where they're battling against Ring of Honor to try to prove that they don't belong in the spot that they've been given. They should be the top guys. They should be the best guys, and they're going to continue to prove why they're going to be the best guys. And of course, Sabin and Shelley were saved from an attack by the Cabinet by Donovan Dijak in San Antonio. And this one, I mean, I don't know how far you're going to go and what's going to happen with the 6-man tag team titles. If there's going to be feuds involved, or if they're just sort of like going to be what the never open weight tag team titles are as far as the 6-man goes. So I'm going to go with the cabinet here, but I feel like I'm going to be proven wrong.
Yeah, I mean, this is an ongoing theme here on this show of, wow, either way you go, it's sensible. Mm-hmm. And that's the biggest problem I have. And you know what? I mean, I could definitely see where you're coming from. I think the cabinet really needs the victory. I do. Those guys, sure, they're name value. Sure, they do, pretty well for themselves. But at the same point, I still think they're in that spot of, people think they're kind of a joke, that they don't matter as much. And so I think them winning does them better than losing. But on the other hand, they have been putting over Dijak more. And I could definitely see a situation where Dijak is the reason for his team winning over what we get at the cabinet. So I think I'm going to flip. I think I'm going to go to the other side and say, of course, Dijak and his team wins.
Yeah, and I really hope that's right. Dijak absolutely deserves every shot at cracking the top tier of Ring of Honor that he can get. He's such a special athlete. He's such a special talent. His promos, they're okay. But certainly, I mean, the guy is just a man who can do flips and stuff off the top rope, and as big as he is, deserves to be spotlighted as much as you can.
Mm-hmm.
So now we have title matches extending out for the rest of the card, unless the Ring of Honor decides to add something else. But the 6-man tag team tournament comes to an end as the New Kingdom of Matt Taven, even TK O'Ryan and Vinny Marcel. I can never pronounce his name. Marceligla?
Something like that.
Something like that.
There you go.
Vinny, you know your name, bro. They team up to take on Jay White, Kushida, and Leo Rush, who is replacing ACH, who was originally Leo's replacement, seeing as ACH is no longer with the company. So if that makes any sense. This seems tailor-made for the New Kingdom to walk out with those championships here, Gary.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly on this one. I mean, the Kingdom has overcome all the odds, beat everyone that I kind of thought, well, maybe this is the time they're going to lose. And so I'm not going to put my money down against them. So, yeah, definitely the New Kingdom will be taking those belts.
Yeah, I mean, there's enough to be said for the other side here, too. Jay White is still unbeaten in Ring of Honor. Leo Rush is obviously being pushed heavily. And Kushida is a guy who wants to be Ring of Honor champion, somebody who I think the Ring of Honor is very keen to try to keep around their product for as often as they can. So, I think this could go either way too. But looking at it, I think the New Kingdom need this more. So,
mm-hmm.
Ring of Honor tag team titles up for grabs as the Young Bucks defend against the Briscoes. Do the Briscoes win that 9th title reign, Gary?
Oh man, this is another tough one because we've seen the Young Bucks do so well, and of course them taking those titles it really affected Ring of Honor. Getting all the gold over to the Bullet Club. I will say that the Briscoes get their 9th title reign. I think the Bullet Club is going to have a little bit of a struggle here. And they're going to find out that they're human too. So I'll say it. I'll go ahead and put my foot down and say the Briscoes do retain, or not retain, but gain their 9th title win.
I tell you what, I don't think the Briscoes drop the IWGP tag team titles and miss out on the Tag World the World Tag League over in New Japan to work this show and not have something big happen. Granted, they just might be that dedicated to Ring of Honor. If they are, hats off to them. And as much as I would love to see the Young Bucks keep the championships, the Young Bucks, their contract is also up at the end of this year. I don't know if this is going to start to swing the other way, and you sort of use the Bullet Club to start enhancing other people now. But I think the Briscoes do it too, Gary, and certainly helps keeping them around with the addiction going forward into the next year too, if they want to keep all that going. So.
Yeah, very true. And, I'm I'm a little surprised because I thought maybe, you may go the other bit. I think it just, to me, it feels right. So,
I absolutely agree. This, and you want to talk about hard to call, the co-main event or wherever this match shows up at, the ROH TV titles up for grab. As champion Marty Scurll defends against Will Ospreay, Bobby Fish, and Dragon Lee. And boy, there's a story to go along with this one. Dragon Lee obviously won a championship opportunity by beating Bobby Fish a couple weeks ago at Ring of Honor TV. Bobby Fish, whenever they went to England for the Reach for the Sky tour, lost to Will Ospreay at the first night in Liverpool. Ospreay drops the belt to Scroll in London at York Hall. And Scroll is, of course, your new ROH TV champ. I got to know, Gary, who do you think walks out with the championship here? Because there are no losers.
Yeah, that's the truth. Man, it is so difficult to pick one. I sit here and rack my brain of, which guy would take it and it mean the most, and what would happen. And I just look at this, and by elimination, I gotta say Dragon Lee for me. I mean, I think with him earning that right to be involved in this match, I don't know that him losing really helps, and so I'm going to say Dragon Lee.
Man, I went through a whole roller coaster with this match. Will Ospreay's announced to win the title after Liverpool. I'm thinking we're going to get Ospreay and Dragon Lee at Final Battle, and people are going to die of watching these guys do all the flippies, and then they give the title to Scroll, who is an equally great wrestler in so many different ways. And I don't think you do this unless you're going to do Marty and Will one-on-one at your anniversary show next year in Vegas. So I'm going to say Scroll retains, and this way you can have Dragon Lee keep being Dragon Lee. Bobby Fish can move on to what will be his inevitable title match with Kyle O'Reilly. Spoilers for my next pick, obviously. And then you keep the belt on Scroll, and you have him fight off everybody you can while you can. Because I don't know, he signed an exclusive deal with Ring of Honor now, and that might just be for working in the U.S. as the same as Will does, but I see no reason to move the belt off of Marty right now,
Yeah, I mean, you're right on that, and I just kind of look at it and just kind of thought to myself that Dragon Lee and his momentum, and everybody's been so impressed with him. That's the only reason I'm going to go ahead and say him, but you're right, and Marty Scurll was my second. I thought, if I'm not choosing Dragon Lee, it would definitely be him, so it'll be really interesting, and I can't wait to see how this all turns out.
Yeah, I'm right there with it. It could steal the show completely. Main event, Adam Cole, of course, defends against Kyle O'Reilly. The big feud comes to a head with the ROH World title on the line. I think it's been pretty obvious since day one what they wanted to do with Kyle, and I think this is his crowning moment.
Yeah, I agree. I really do. And, this has been a long time coming. I mean, he's been beat up. He's been put in bad situations. And, yeah, it's just eventually he's got to get that payoff. And I think it's going to finally happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think you look at Ring of Honor in 2017, and it's new frontiers as far as everything goes with, Kyle O'Reilly is your top guy. You'll have Bobby Fish obviously in the mix. If you want to if Lethal and Cole stay around, then good on you too. But you got to start moving forward, and I think that this pay-per-view and looking at next year, you're going to see a lot of guys that are in the main event scene that you originally haven't seen in the main event scene. So hats off to Ring of Honor. I'm really looking forward to this show too. I think it's going to be dynamite. Ring of Honor has been great on pay-per-view this year, more often than not. And when Final Battle comes around, they usually always deliver an awesome show. So Friday can't get here soon enough.
Yeah, definitely. And, Paul and I will be catching the show on demand. Sadly, I think both of us will be really busy and not get a chance to check it out live. But I encourage anyone who does want to, please go do that. Support Ring of Honor. Great company. I've done a lot of good things. I'm really excited about the when we do our end of the year awards and to see where Ring of Honor ranks amongst some of the best promotions, because I think they're doing a heck of a job. I really do, and they've kept me intrigued compared to some of the other promotions out there. So we'll talk about that, of course, at the end of this year. But yeah, for that is a Final Battle, the preview. Of course, I'm sure we'll be getting back into Final Battle coming up next week, and so be looking out for that. We'll be reviewing that show. Well, guys, we of course are done with Ring of Honor now. Now, I'm not sure, Sean, if you wanted to still talk Tag League, or are we going to save that to Thursday? I can't remember our discussion on that. I'm not sure if Sean can hear me at the moment, so Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I mean, Paul, why don't you go ahead and have you kind of kept up with the Tag League? Do you want to kind of tell the people about anything about Tag League?
I will go ahead and get the discussion rolling for the World Tag League here, as Block A has sort of gone, I think, the way a lot of people might have gone, except for one exception, maybe. Obviously, War Machine, Hanson, Ray Rowe, they're up to 6 points now. They've kept on rolling. They've only lost to the tag champs in Tama Tonga and Tonga Roa, the Guerrillas of Destiny, who are also at 6 points. They lost to Tenkoji, who also has 6 points. And Tenkoji, of course, I believe, has only lost to War Machine. So you have a very... when you look at the top 3 teams in Block A right now, they've only lost to each other. And that's really interesting. I think they're trying to cultivate as many feuds for Guerrillas of Destiny going forward. And if War Machine sticks around, which I hope they do, because they've been awesome in this tournament from what I've been hearing. Obviously, I have been very, very behind with everything they're going on here. Page and Takahashi are at 4 points, as well as Brian Breaker and Leland Race, and Rush and Tetsuya Naito, who Naito and Rush have lost to Page and Takahashi for some reason. I don't know how that happens, but they did. And they've also lost to Tenkoji, if you're keeping up with them. I know everybody loves LIJ. Tanahashi and Robinson, of course, are at 2. And the young lion Hinare with Manabu Nakanishi are at 0. They'll win a match somewhere along the way. I just, when you're tagged up, when the tree and a young lion tag up, nothing good happens there. And I was leaving that gap there in case Sean had come back, but he has not.
Yeah.
So Block B, Hiroki Goto and Tomohiro Ishii had 6 points, as well as Kazuchika Okada and Yoshihashi and Evil and Sonata. Much closer, but yet still sort of the same story. I think those guys in the top have only lost to each other as well, in some combination there. And then, of course, you have Billy Gunn and Yoshitatsu at 4, Makabe and Hanma, Great Bash Heel at 4, Shibata and Nagata at 4, Chase Owens, Kenny Omega at 2, and Bad Luck Fale and Bone Soldier also at 0. Of course, nobody was expecting big things from those bottom guys. Of course, Omega's already got that IWGP title match locked in, so they're only going to go so far in this. But they did beat. They went over their own Bullet Club contingent there at Fale and Bone Soldier, which might be something to talk about. But they lost to Yoshitatsu and Billy Gunn, which with the Bullet Club Hunter thing still being a thing for Yoshitatsu at least. Some obviously big goings on there. I still don't see a reason why this doesn't end up being Goto and Ishii and Naito and Rush in the final, as I originally predicted. But obviously, looking at the way at least War Machine's going, or even the Guerrillas of Destiny, of course, it could go the other way. But you need to build up a challenger for GOD, and I think Goto and Ishii is the team to do it. Still no Sean.
Yeah, no Sean. So does that conclude our tag league here?
Yeah, that's all I got. There's not a lot that I can really talk about without having seen this. But yeah, I encourage you to go out and watch these. I know Rush and Naito had a great match with somebody. Their main event night 1 was awesome. I know War Machine has been stellar in this too, really just turning some heads over there too. So if you're only into War Machine because you're a Ring of Honor fan, or if you're just a New Japan fan, go watch their stuff at least.
Yeah, definitely. And it's going to be, interesting to see how that whole thing shakes down, and lots of great content for you guys right there. We're the Tag League over there in New Japan. Sean, apparently, I don't know what's going on. I'm assuming maybe he fell asleep, which is hilarious.
That's really not good because he's the one producing this, and he's the one with the stop button.
Exactly. So I think eventually it runs out, right? I think eventually it'll just go, I would assume. If not, he's going to have a lot of fun editing.
Yeah, because if he doesn't stop it, I think the length that we can go is like 6 hours.
Oh, yeah.
So
well, he has to go to work, I know, in the morning. So if it does not actually, end up the way we want it, guess what? He'll have fun editing before he goes to work. But anyway, that doesn't stop the show. The show must go on. And, unless he's having some of the other personal things, we don't know. But you know what? We do have one thing that we're going to do left on this show, and that is, of course, talk about our Superstar of the Week from last week. And we can actually do this without music. It's not that important because we did miss the actual deadline. But just to let everybody know, this actually ran from the previous week, Friday to Thursday, which was Thanksgiving Day. Of course, that's when we usually do our own personal show live, and usually Friday to that Thursday is how we run it. So involved in that is Survivor Series. So that's going to be a big factor when it comes to our rankings this week. But some other things also got some love here too. So let's go ahead and jump into this thing, Paul. We'll get into our number one spot. 1 point going to Bill Goldberg. Interesting, but he still got a point.
Well, I mean, when you run over Brock Lesnar in a minute and a half when he hasn't been pinned in almost 4 years, that's definitely worth the point, even if there was a whole ton of controversy and a great deal of bad feelings on my part for them doing this.
Yes, and people, if you didn't not hear Paul's rage against this, you need to go check out last Monday's show. Trust me, it's very fun. Okay, so let's also give some more points. 2 points will be going to Johnny Mundo, and he had a big accomplishment.
Sexy Star, of course, 2 weeks ago won Aztec Warfare and the Lucha Underground title, and it lasted all the week as Johnny Mundo beat her in the main event of last week's Lucha Underground to capture the Lucha Underground title, and albeit a very not clean fashion. So 2 points goes to Mundo for finally capturing that championship he's been after since day one in Lucha Underground.
Very much so, and once again, it's always fun to see Johnny Mundo with the championship, so I'll be really interested to see how they continue it. 3 points goes to Cesaro and Sheamus.
They were, of course, the last team standing in that awesome Survivor Series 10-team match, and then they had the equally great match with the New Day the next night on Raw, which earned him quite a bit of love on our end, and of course we already love Cesaro and Sheamus so much, or at least I love Sheamus so much out of everybody here, so 3 points for those guys.
And 4 points will be going to Samoa Joe.
Yes, of course, in this Superstar of the Week ranking, NXT TakeOver does count, and Joe, of course, recaptures the NXT title from Shinsuke Nakamura in a much better outing than their first go-around, and in an equally dominant fashion of another title win for him as Joe becomes the first two-time NXT champion, Gary.
Wow. That is really interesting because, you would think with the NXT's run, they would have more than, a two-time champion, but there's never been one. So congratulations, Samoa Joe. Definitely well-deserved. 5 points, and our Superstar of the Week goes to, drumroll, DIY. That's right, Gargano and Ciampa. Man, this is really cool.
Of course, they capture the NXT Tag Team Championships in a match against the Revival that somehow, some way, they found a way to top their previous outing. They got 5 stars from me. They got 5 stars from a lot of other people for this match, and they absolutely deserve every single point and probably a whole lot more than we can ever give them. What a match.
Yeah, it was one of those that, you're going to want to go back and watch more than one time, and definitely well-deserved for our Superstar of the Week. And, man, I mean, I don't know how many, tag teams we have on the list or, how we do this when it comes to the actual getting each guy the points, but I'll say this, they've definitely racked up some points. They may not be at the echelon of some of these other guys like Roman Reigns on our list, but they've definitely, got some love on our list. So very excited, and congratulations to DIY. So. Well, that is, of course, Superstar of the Week for last week. You'll be getting actual Superstar of the Week from this week when we do Thursday's show, which will be a lot of fun because we got a lot, trust me, a lot in store for you guys. Not only are we going to kind of jump into some of the highlights from the stuff we did not cover on this last week's Thursday show, but we're also going to be getting into some big, quick hits, some news topics that have happened over this week, and, of course, I think we'll be actually previewing a TLC. That's right. I can't believe TLC has popped up out of nowhere, Paul. I honestly am going, and I just kind of didn't think about it, and someone told me, hey, it's this Sunday. I'm like, oh, crap. I didn't know it was that fast. So Man, it's just here in the flash.
And it's going to be such a great show. I'm a little jealous that you get to go, but of course I'll be in Disney. I'll be flying out to Disney World on Sunday. I'll be there for the whole week, so I won't be here for the shows come next week. But I envy you and your opportunity to go see this Dean Ambrose and AJ Styles and TLC match. Is going to be that's a barn burner if I've ever seen one, Gary.
Oh man, it's gonna be wild. I'm very excited for that reason to be there. But it's gonna be really crazy. The entire card, I think, is gonna be a blast, and I'm kind of jealous of you too, man. You're gonna go to Disney, man. I can't wait to go. My wife, I've been taking the daughter. In the future, I'm gonna go there. We're hoping we can take her when she actually remembers everything. So right now, at 3 years old, probably wouldn't remember all of it,
Right.
So, but she would love it. Trust me, the whole princess thing, she'd go nuts.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been, so I'm really looking forward to it too.
Oh man, I've been twice. Once as a really, really little kid, and once as a little bit older kid. And I remember the second time more than anything. The last time I went to Disney World was when The Lion King first came out.
Oh wow.
That shows you how long ago that was.
Long time ago.
Yes, exactly. So that's how it shows you how old I am, folks. Of course, I'm not telling you how old I was then, but I was still a kid. But anyway, I mean, that's going to be really great. So that means that Paul will not be a part of our shows next week, which is a big bummer. But, of course, we'll try to truck along and get through it. But this is going to be a fun week for him. He deserves a vacation. He gave me a week off, so he deserves a week off himself. So there you go. But of course, maybe we can get some insights. Maybe you can, let us know how everything goes. But of course, we are going to be ending this show. Right now, we don't know where Sean is. So how we're going to do this is we are going to personally end the call with Sean, and that will hopefully allow me a chance to call him without you guys having to hear me call him. And he'll end the show eventually. But you live listeners, you get an extra 4 hours probably of hearing Sean snore. Me and Paul will be going to bed. And we hope you guys enjoyed the rest of, this week. And we'll be catching everybody on Thursday night. And hopefully Sean will stay awake for that one. And, of course, just to let everybody also know, W2Mnet.com. Go check it out. It's good there for all your great wrestling needs. And, of course, video games as well, sports. And, of course, not forget the W2M Network. So lots of great content for you guys. We appreciate everybody from coming and checking us out tonight. Until next time, we'll be catching you guys down the road.
Have a good one, guys.
following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.